السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Hello my dear students of القلعة الحجازية National Schools Secondary Stage Traveler 4.
Module 4. Human Nature. Humans are men, women, children. All people, humans. Human nature means the way people think and feel generally. Discuss. What do you think are some common characteristics among humans? Common means shared by a lot of people. Characteristics, features and qualities. Qualities and features that are shared by a lot of people. I think that most people want to be loved, respected, and appreciated. We want people to be grateful to us. What kind of problems do young people face today, encounter, go head to head with, and how do they cope with them? How do they live with these problems? Well, young people are concerned, worried about finding a good job and starting their own families. And how do they cope with this? Well, their eyes are always open, searching for opportunities for a better future. Reading. A. Look at the pictures. What do you think happened to these people? Read and check your answers. Now let's only read the title. Share your most embarrassing moments. When you are embarrassed, you feel worried about what people think of you. Now look at the picture. Something embarrassing happened to Robbie with a lamppost. What do you think happened? I think probably he must have hit a lamppost accidentally and people laughed at him. And Daryl had a smelly bag and maybe he kept some insects, flies, inside his bag. And James had an incident with a cactus. Maybe he fell on a cactus. Now let's read and find out. And before we do that, look at the shades of shame. Shades of shame is like an embarrassment meter. How embarrassed you were. Very embarrassed or not very embarrassed? First we have blushing rose. This means not very embarrassed. Now beetroot red. These are beets. They are dark red, which means you are pretty embarrassed. And lastly, we have bag over your head. That means you were extremely embarrassed that you didn't want anybody to see your face, that you covered it with a bag and you hid under the table. Hid is the passive hide. You don't want anybody to see you because of how embarrassed you were. Now let's read. I don't know why embarrassing things keep happening to me. Why me? Just the other day, a few days ago, I was walking down the street with my friends from college when I ran into my history professor. Ran into is the past of run into. When you run into someone, that means you meet him by chance. You didn't arrange for this to happen. I decided to say hello, so I looked at him with a big grin, a big smile on my face and walked towards him. He didn't seem to recognize me. He didn't know me. So as he was walking past me, while he was walking past me, he was walking in one direction and I was walking in the other. I called his name. The professor finally turned around. He looked behind to see who was calling him, but had an alarmed look. He looked like He was worried that something bad was going to happen, as if, like if something was about to go terribly wrong, like if something bad was going to happen. Then suddenly, I felt like someone had hit me in the face with a brick. I was shocked for a moment, and then I realized I knew I had walked into a lamppost. When you walk into something, you hit it. The professor tried not to laugh, but my friends burst out laughing. They kept laughing uncontrollably. If I had known things would turn out this way, if I knew that this would happen, I would have stayed at home and never went out with my friends. I had totally made a fool of myself. I looked like an idiot. Everybody was laughing at me. Robbie. Now Robbie was pretty embarrassed. Not little, not too much. Now let's read the second story. I thought it would be a normal school day, just like all the rest, just like the other days. But it sure wasn't. I was late, so I ran all the way to school. As I sat down, I noticed a very unpleasant smell, very bad smell. Soon enough, shortly after that, the other students went hysterical. They went crazy, asking each other where it was coming from. The teacher was getting annoyed, unhappy, bothered, because he hates interruptions. He hates it when students stop the lesson. And the smell seemed to be getting worse and worse. It seemed to be coming from under my desk, so I thought I was involved. It was coming from where my bag was. So I opened the bag, and to my horror, I was so terrified when I realized what it was. You see, let me explain. About a week ago, my mom had made me a cheese sandwich, which I had forgotten all about. I forgot that it was in my bag the whole time. The only solution to end this problem was to get rid of it. Throw it away. Get rid of it. Fast. So as my teacher turned his back to write something on the board, I slowly took the sandwich out of my bag, making an effort, trying hard not to be noticed, not to be seen by anyone. However, one of the boys saw me and ruined everything. He spoiled my plan. The plan didn't work because of him, as he couldn't help telling everyone. He couldn't stop himself from telling everyone, "Daryl's the one! Daryl's the one! He's got a smelly sandwich!" Everyone looked at me, of course, and started laughing. They made fun of me for weeks afterwards, after that day, which drove me out the wall. Drove is the past of drive. Drive me up the wall means make me feel annoyed, not happy. Now, Daryl was extremely ashamed, extremely embarrassed. Ashamed means embarrassed. Third story. I was over at a friend's house. I was spending the night at a friend's house, and we were having a great time. Then, some of the boys started telling scary stories. As one of my friends stood in the middle of the room, stood the passive stand, with the lights off, telling his story, I thought it was time for me to play one of my jokes on them, one of my pranks on them. I found a torch, a flashlight. Americans say flashlight, British say torch, in the kitchen, and I went outside using the back door, so that I used the back door because I wanted nobody to see me. My plan My arrangement was to get in through the living room window, holding the torch and pretending. When you pretend, you behave as if something is true, but you know that it's not true. To be a burglar, someone who came to steal. I want everybody to think that I was a burglar, pretending to be a burglar, but I wasn't a burglar. That, I thought, would definitely scare everybody. Unfortunately, as I was climbing, climbing, when you climb, you move up. I was trying to get in through the window. I fell down and landed. I came down on a cactus. David, one of my friends, turned on the lights and everyone went outside to see what was going on, what was happening. There was a moment of silence. Everybody stopped talking and looking at me. And then everybody started laughing. Everybody burst out laughing. At first, I just wanted the ground to open and swallow me up. Swallow. When you swallow your food, you move the food from your mouth down into your belly. And I wanted the ground just to swallow me up. But then I started laughing too. I enjoyed the moment. I was among friends. There was no professor or teacher or anybody except friends. So I wasn't so ashamed. I wasn't so embarrassed. Now read the texts again and write R for Robbie, J for James, or D for Daryl for the statements below. It took me a while. I needed some time to realize what had happened. That's Robbie. He was shocked for a moment, and then he realized what had happened. I was trying to get someone's attention. When you get someone's attention, you make him listen and look at you. That's also Robbie. He wanted the professor to see him and talk to him. I enjoyed what happened as much as the others. That's James. He started laughing too. He was among friends. I wanted to throw something away. That's Daryl. He wanted to throw his sandwich away. Get rid of it. I was annoyed, unhappy by the way the others reacted, by what the others did. Well, that's both Robbie and Daryl, but Daryl was even more annoyed. He said, "It drove me up the wall." I was trying to do something funny when the accident is when something bad happens unexpectedly. That's James. He wanted to play one of his pranks on his friends. He thought it would be funny. Now match the highlighted words and phrases in the text with their meanings A to H. There are 2 extra meanings which you do not need to use. When you run into, the past is ran, the present is run. That means you meet by chance. You didn't arrange for the meeting to happen. When you pretend, you behave as if. You act as if something is true, and you know that it's not true. When you go hysterical, you go crazy. When you make an effort, you try hard. When you can't help, that means you're not able to control what you do. When you drive somebody up the wall, you annoy him. You annoy somebody.